So when we were talking about this conversation, I was bringing up really the point of view of Proofpoint Marketing that I'm going to kind of really help articulate here on this episode, which is if you scale relationships, you're going to scale revenue.
Yeah.
Now, why this is an exciting topic for me is quick anecdote of my background, how I got into marketing, which is one, I did not have any marketing experience. I had a philosophy degree, was working at Starbucks, didn't know what to do with my life. How I got my first marketing job was going to the networking events, like they used to tell you in the old days. You put on a suit, you go walk in, get some coffee, shake some hands, talk to some people. And that landed me at Caterpillar. And that was a big boy job right out of the gate, getting into that marketing department. And my first whole year, I was just paired with salespeople, writing content for them. Through that experience, I really learned like, okay, this is all based on relationships. Like you go out in the field, you talk to people, you may not sell them now, but because you built that relationship quickly, that's going to cultivate and grow over time. And then when they're ready to buy, they're going to come back to you.
Yes.
So I'm articulating that story because that's what I think we can do as marketers. That's what I try to get my clients to do as well, to really have a process and system to scale relationships and really scale that digital word of mouth. So when they're ready to buy, they're going to tell their friend to do it, or they're going to come back to you. Again, if you change the mindset, I think when you're talking about your Dan Sanchez story is when you change the mindset, you do different things. So that's if you change your mindset to, I'm going to focus on relationships and then revenue will follow, your activities are much different rather than I'm going to hyper focus on revenue. And then hopefully those metrics will work their way out. And then those relationships will turn into customers. I'm trying to flip it on its head. Let's start relationships first.
Yeah, I like that. And so if you switch your mindset to, we're going to build relationships, what does that look like? Then your activities, yes, for sure, are going to change. And then therefore the goalposts of what you're shooting for are going to change. You know, your objectives are going to change. Your tactics are going to change. Your activities, your behaviors, everything is going to change. I can imagine, I mean, and having given that advice to a lot of clients, you know, in one way or another, because it's a lot to take. You know, if you're a lead gen, you know, company and you're running ads on Facebook and then, you know, you're told to build relationships, that's a complete culture shift, really, when we get down to it. And, you know, I think ideas like that are some that CEOs that are listening to this, you know, marketing leaders are listening to this, should take in and try to digest and then work maybe slowly over maybe a longer time horizon to implement. Because really that's what it's going to end up. If you don't have a CEO really, or because this podcast is mostly for mid-market companies, if you don't have a CEO, COO, C-suite that is relational by nature, you're going to have to change the culture of how the company, you know, the path of what the company is going. So it can be a big ask to do that. But you know, that aside, I think if it were adopted to whatever degree, you know, a lot of things can be adopted experimentally and say, well, we're going to do these efforts in addition to what we're doing and see what kind of results they bring back. I think what it's going to do is put the conversation on the table about what are we measuring, right, for what result. And then you can start to compare what are our efforts look like over here and how do we measure those efforts for what result, and what are our efforts look like over here and how do we measure that for what result. So tell me more about what you're thinking.
Yeah, you know, what resonates with what you're saying to me is when we tackle these kind of big mindset philosophical changes, there's going to be activities that we do that are either unscalable or unmeasurable. And the reason why I bring this up, because marketing at one time did different things. You know, we were advertising on television. We were mainly print in traditional marketing. Some of those ideas worked, right? And we've made this huge pivot to digital, and we've changed everything we've done. So with this mindset shift, we're trying to get kind of our clients and ourselves to do old school things, right? For instance, personalized gift giving. That's a relationship activity. Sometimes that's not measurable. I can certainly measure how many gifts I send to our prospects. I think that may be worth looking at. But really what I'm trying to measure is, was this a meaningful relationship?